Megan, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm really excited to just be hearing from you today because you have a really inspirational story and you're in a really exciting time in your life. So, thank you for being open to share. I would love to first talk about what were you most frustrated with or struggling with before you and I were working together?
Gosh, this is a loaded question. I have struggled with a hormone imbalance for 20 years. And, as a teenager, my cycles were never regular. I was told at 17 I had endometriosis. So, you go down the path of treating that. I was put on birth control for a couple of years. That didn't seem to help anything except for maybe regulating my periods, but I was having tough periods. So it was just like 2 decades, honestly, of being really frustrated with my own body. Like, why isn't it, working the way that it was designed and created to work? And almost 10 years ago, my husband and I got married, and, we wanted to start a family. It's always been my dream to be a mom. And I started with a new OB-GYN, and they were like, "You have PCOS." And I was like, "What's that?" So I immediately Google and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain a ton of weight. I'm never going to be able to have kids and I'm going to live with this disease my whole life. And I felt so hopeless. And I'm not trying to knock the physician that diagnosed me, but there was no information given to me. So it was kind of up to me to go and find out, what PCOS is and how can I live with it and how do you cure it? Is there a cure? What symptoms can I expect and when? And so it just kind of led me on this journey of like research of my own body. I was lucky enough, I will say. I got pregnant naturally, which was very surprising to me and amazing, and had a healthy birth and a healthy pregnancy. So, everyone would think like, oh, that's great. But, after I had my daughter, I was back to irregular periods. I was back to symptoms. I was back to feeling hopeless. We would love to have more kids. And it was like, okay, I'm trying this doctor. I'm trying that doctor. I tried different OB-GYNs and, it's like, oh, we'll send you to a fertility specialist or we'll get you on the pill to regulate your cycles. And it just felt like there was no solution to my symptoms, like my irregular periods. Was I even ovulating? Things like that. So I would say I was really hopeless. I was getting depressed, honestly, frustrated because on my own research, I'd try a new supplement or I would do this or eliminate gluten and dairy because I heard that could help. So trying all these different things, but having no real outcomes. And then when I found you, I was randomly looking up a PCOS podcast. I had a long drive and you were the guest on a podcast. And my mind was so blown because I felt like I learned more about PCOS in 35 minutes than I did in 10 years. And I was like, I have got to know more. I felt like this spark of hope opened up. So that's how I came to you.
Oh, wow. I really resonate with you getting this dismissive information from all these doctors because that's one of the most common stories that I hear. And so talk to us a little bit more about, when you first got diagnosed and your doctor wasn't really helpful, or at one point you were told, oh, just go back on birth control. Like, how was that in your mind and in this fertility journey for you?
Yeah, I felt like, I love how you call it a fertility journey because a few years ago I started switching my, 7 year gap of infertility to my fertility journey because we were designed and created to be fertile. I truly believe that. I think stuff along the way can hinder that or it needs to be aligned for it to happen. It just felt like we make all these advances in healthcare and yet there's no information. My doctor, who is a doctor of women and the body, she's supposed to help me and to know. And I was just kind of like, if they don't know, who can help me? Who's gonna help me? My ultimate goal wasn't to necessarily have another baby, although that would be an amazing outcome. It was more like, how do I regulate my cycles? Because, they say that your menstrual cycle is your fifth vital sign, and mine wasn't happening. So I'm like, I love health and wellness, and it's a hobby for me. It's a lifestyle. And I felt like I'm doing all these things right, but something's missing and no one can help me. It's very lonely to feel that way. And, hearing other people or seeing people post about PCOS, I just want to like scream on the rooftops, like, there is hope. Like, someone can help you. Don't just keep getting like simple answers from your doctor, like get a second opinion, research a PCOS fertility specialist. I didn't even know someone like that existed.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm just so grateful that you're here. And, we're going to get to this part of your story in a minute, but, you're carrying your next baby. Like, it's super exciting. But when you were in that space of still trying to figure out what your body needed to at least regulate periods, but, also to get pregnant again, how was this affecting you? You've shared a little bit, but can you dive into that some more?
I think I would wake up every day and be like, okay, what can I do today to, like, I felt like I had the control over my health. Like, I'm doing something wrong. Everyone else is getting pregnant around me. Everyone else has a regular cycle. Like, this is my problem. And I started to get so frustrated with my own body. And so it was such a struggle to be like, to find hope again, and also like believe like my body can heal. It's designed to heal. It's it was depressing, honestly, because like, why can't I just be normal? I want my body to be normal. I've dealt with this for 20 years, and like, why can't something just click? Like, what's the magic supplement, diet? What is it? And I just wasn't sure, what to do next. And then, after working with you, I just had learned so much about my own body, and I'm sure we'll get into that too. But yeah, I think it's probably the most alone I felt in my life, because your friends, my sister has 4 kids. She never dealt with this, and I'm like, does anyone know what PCOS really feels like? Or not to mention just like the absence of a period or ovulation, but it's like you're tired, your cortisol levels can be off, your blood sugar is off a lot of times, there's inflammation in the body, stress trapped in the body. There's so many pieces of it that I just didn't know, and I felt like I was, I don't know, trying to fight off all these little things, but really had no basic knowledge about what to do. And I was so desperate. As soon as I heard your podcast, I remember crying, talking to my husband, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know IVF is expensive. I don't know what's next on our fertility journey, but I said, I feel like I have to explore this. And he was like, absolutely super supportive. And I think that was the first time too, I kind of let my guard down, even with my own husband, who I love and trust, because it's almost like an internal battle that you have with yourself. Like, I'm supposed to love my body. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do that. And I'm supposed to be happy I already have a kid. That's huge. Like, some people don't get that opportunity. So I'm being ungrateful if I think that I need more. So it was just such an internal struggle.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, because there are so many other women who are struggling with that and are feeling like they have to keep that internalized. And particularly when
Mhm.
they're getting this information from their doctors, like, oh, just go lose weight or go get it back on birth
Mhm.
control, and that's supposed to fix it. And so that's
Yeah,
just perpetuating.
it doesn't address all of the other aspects. And yeah, I'm sure I'll talk more about like the other pieces, not even just, what's changed after working with you, but there's just there's just more options than you think. Like, it's not just about losing weight. It's not just about cutting something from your diet. And it's not complicated, honestly. I never felt super overwhelmed or frustrated working with you. I felt like everything kept getting better. I started feeling better. And so it was more motivating to like keep doing what I had to do, and all those things. But I don't want to give away too many spoilers yet.
Well, no, I mean, that's a great transition. Can you share with us what's changed for you since we've been working together?
Yeah, I think, I had gone to other natural doctors before, and I will say that was really helpful addressing some maybe like mineral deficiencies, and just overall improving my health. When I started working with you and getting the labs done, and I don't feel like you ordered anything too crazy, but looking at the levels, you know, there's such a range when you get blood work back and they're like, oh, looks normal, like let's move on. But you explaining what optimal levels were for my fertility just kind of blew my mind, because I'm like, but I'm in the range, right? Like that should be good. And I loved how you, like, step by step, we addressed nutrition and blood sugar, and then we addressed supplements, and you kind of slowly added things in. So I didn't feel like my whole life had changed overnight. It's definitely changed, but changed for the better. So I think, I have more energy and I feel good, but I feel so empowered to just keep going. Like, I know that health is possible. And after about a month and a half of working together, I got a regular cycle for the first time in years. And I was like, what kind of voodoo is this? This is amazing. Like, it's working. But I also knew and was realistic that I had to be patient. Like, the body does take time to heal. Some other things, I had a lot of trauma when I was a teenager. And after some of the tests, you were saying like your mind isn't telling your brain isn't telling your ovaries to ovulate. And I had felt like, oh, I have a lot of stuff that I haven't released or let out. So I started going to a counselor again. And I think that was even a piece of this journey for me, was healing through some of that trauma and kind of like just opening my body to function the way it was meant to without blockages, if that makes sense. And so after my first normal cycle, I was so excited. I was ready for my next cycle. And I was like, oh my gosh, I think I ovulated. I really do. You started cluing me in on signs of ovulation, and we started talking about how to get my eggs in a healthy place. But you definitely were like, it takes a couple months, 3 months for your eggs to get, into a healthy space. So I was like, totally, like I'm going to be so patient. This is great. So I'm waiting for my next period. So excited that I ovulated. So excited that I had a period the month before, and no period came. And I was like, okay, don't be defeated. Like, it takes time. And then, like every month for the last 7 years, you take a pregnancy test because that's what you're hoping and wishing for. And for the first time in 7 years, I had a positive pregnancy test. So I'm almost 21 weeks pregnant right now.
I've sent this to you many times before, but congratulations. Like, I'm
Thank
just
you.
so excited, and your story gives me goosebumps. And for where you were when we first started working together to where you are now, it's just really an honor to be here with you on this journey.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're walking with me. And, you know, obviously this was the desired outcome, but even the fact that I had that regular cycle and was feeling better and sleeping better, and it makes me more excited for my postpartum journey to know that I can get back to that. My body can get back to that, and I can thrive after this pregnancy too, but also have a healthy pregnancy. Because I think a lot of times too, people with PCOS or hormone imbalance or infertility, whatever it might be, the goal is like, just get pregnant, just get pregnant. I just want to get pregnant. And I know that feeling, like 7 years of looking at tests with only one line instead of two. Like, it's hard. I am not going to downplay that at all. It's devastating. And I think with you, your approach was like, yes, that's the goal, but how do we get your body in a place where it can get pregnant, but sustain it as well and have a natural, healthy pregnancy? And I will say, like, this pregnancy, it's been hard, like normal hard, like, a lot of nausea, vomiting the first trimester, but baby's healthy. I'm good. Like, everything's going well. And I'm just so thankful that even in the short time that we worked together, that my body was in a healthy place to have, to accept this egg and fertilize it and turn it into a baby. So I'm just really, really excited.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I love that you bring that up, because That is a big shortfall in the PCOS fertility world, is that most of these doctors are just saying, okay, well, let's get you ovulating. Let's push ovulation, which, yes, it's the goal, but we have to take a step back to figure out, okay, why are you not ovulating? What needs to happen in order to help you ovulate? And
Hmm.
so, as you and I were working on that together, here you are, you're having a healthy pregnancy, but can you talk to us about what else has opened up for you as we've gone through this journey?
I have a couple friends dealing with infertility or on their fertility journey, and I feel like I've kind of found my voice in this process because, you know, people would assume like, oh, just one and done, with our daughter, and they make comments, and it just helps you realize like everyone's journey is so different. And, I know people were never meant saying those things to be cruel or mean, but you don't know how lonely this journey is and what people are walking through. And I've always felt like, gosh, there's got to be a way, like, even when this, I always felt hope, I guess, in the back of my mind that something would shift, that we would have another baby. I would journal about it. I actually found journals last night from 4 years ago where I'm like, I will have another baby. I was declaring it, I will have another baby. And I just feel like being able in this platform and you sharing my story is something that I've always had the desire to do. But I'm like, what am I going to do? A Facebook Live? Like, I don't know. What is this going to look like? But I know what it's like to be hopeless. And now I know what it's like to have hope again. And it makes me emotional thinking about it. But I'm sorry. I just want to encourage anyone listening, like, don't lose hope. Your body is designed to heal. It is designed to function. And it and you have to be patient, but be grateful for those little healing moments when you're like, gosh, I really feel like my blood sugar was balanced today, or I slept so good last night. That's so good for my body. Or I took a nice walk today and that relieves so much stress. I just think, like, don't lose hope. Don't go to that dark place.
That's so powerful, Megan.
Really didn't expect to cry. I mean, I thought maybe I would, but maybe it's the pregnancy hormones.
It's okay. It's okay. Thank you so much for sharing those words of hope to others who are in the same place as you were just, months ago. Yeah. Well, Megan, what are you grateful for?
So many things, honestly. And part of I recommend this to everyone is, start with 3 things every morning that you can be grateful for. I think getting your head in the right place is key when you're dealing with your fertility journey. And you'll see that list will grow and it expands, and some things might be repeats, but I try to start my day with that. And it's just a huge practice and part of my life. But I'm so grateful for knowing that my body is designed and created to function, and it's on, it's happening for me. And I'm so grateful I get to share my story. And I just am so thankful for renewed hope, and for you for for that podcast I randomly listened to one day. I don't know if I would be in this position that I'm in today. So I'm so grateful that we connected, and I was able to work with you. And like I said, like, I am so, so thankful I'm pregnant and having a baby boy, and it's such a blessing. But even before that, like, finding out that my body could heal. So even if fertility isn't someone's like end goal, but you're struggling with PCOS and you're like, I'm you're suffering from symptoms, just find hope that your body can heal from that too.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You were reading 4 years ago that you were declaring that you would get pregnant one day. And sharing your story now is this beautiful place to be in because you've gotten there, you've reached it. So, being in this space, being able to share your story with others, is there anything else that you want to share?
Maybe I sound like a broken record, but don't lose hope. Find ways to find gratitude with your day, with your body, the way it is functioning for you, and know that your body isn't fighting against you. I think that just creates this struggle internally where you're like, I've been there. I've been so frustrated. Like, I'm doing everything right. I'm not eating anything bad. I'm working out. I'm doing this. I'm drinking water. I'm taking supplements, and it's not working. And I get it. It's exhausting. It's like being on a hamster wheel. Like, you just keep going and going and hoping for a change. But I want to encourage you, like, change is possible, but sometimes you have to tweak the process a little bit, or consult a new doctor, or whatever it might be. I think empowering yourself with knowledge too about PCOS. Like, I didn't even know there were different types of PCOS until I heard your podcast. And I had it, for 10 years, I think probably longer, honestly, but since I was diagnosed, about 10 years. And there's just always information and knowledge, and I just think, like, empower yourself with that knowledge, because you don't have to suffer.
Yeah. You shared that in the past 7 years, you've done a lot of research for yourself. And I certainly have seen that with working with you. You're like, look, I'm doing all these things that I've read should help, and nothing's working. And can you share what that was like, doing that research for yourself and trying to just fit together the pieces in comparison to what it was like when we were working together, and how things just kind of felt?
Yeah, I think, doing the research would give me glimmers of hope, like, oh, I've never tried berberine before. I heard that's good. Or inositol. I should try inositol. But I think, and maybe those helped a little bit, but I think after working with you, it's like, what does inositol actually do? When should I take it? Should I be taking berberine? Like, depending on the type of PCOS you have, depending on your labs, depending on a lot of things, like, yes, there's a lot of things that are good for people with PCOS, but it might not be right for you. So I was kind of just guessing, and you really can't guess at something like this. And I knew it as soon as my supplements were dialed in with you, after all the labs and things like that. I just felt better, and I was like, gosh, I don't remember feeling this good for years. So it kind of felt like, even though it was glimmers of hope, and I do encourage people to research or follow people with PCOS, but know that it's not like one size fits all. And find that trusted person, that trusted physician who can really guide you along the way, because yes, your knowledge will come into play. And I feel like it's helped me, kind of understand, some of the supplements that I was on I didn't know about, and some I did. And I like that I did know some of them. But I think just guessing is honestly not going to get you the outcome. And it didn't get me the outcome that I was hoping for. And, getting that regular cycle a month and a half later, I was like, that's what worked. It was so dialed in on what my body actually needed to thrive and to get my hormones balanced. And like, I had a, not that this is a protocol for maybe every patient, but I did a cortisol test. I'd never even heard of that before for hormone imbalance. And I would pride myself on doing a lot of research, and that was nothing that came up. And then I was like, oh, it's just a cortisol test. Nothing's going to show. And then, sure enough, I get the results, and my cortisol was off the charts in the morning. And so addressing that. So there was just so many pieces of the puzzle that I would have never been able to put together without your guidance.
Yeah. That's so cool. I remember when we talked through that test and you were like, what?
I was like, wait, I think I'm off the chart. How does that happen? And there was a lot of
Yes.
like fight or flight when I woke up in the morning. And, I think the great thing about working with you is, like, you're looking at the whole picture, and you even encouraged me, like, maybe talk to someone about some of the trauma and stress and address it. And so it's not just like you were like coming to address my symptoms, like, we're looking at root cause here. And I think that is, I'm going to boldly say the issue with the healthcare today. Sometimes we just address the symptoms and don't look at the root cause, but that's only like masking what's actually going on. It's the tip of the iceberg. And it's just so important to truly find the root, because that's how you can heal.
Yes. Megan, you are wonderful. I am just, again, so honored to be working with you and to be sharing in this joy with you of your new baby boy. Thank you so much for being honest and real and raw and vulnerable, because so many other women who are struggling are going to walk away from this with this newfound sense of hope. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me on here. I just, it's kind of coming full circle that I just have been wanting to share my story and wasn't sure how or when. And, sometimes it's easier to share it with strangers that you don't know are listening than people in your neighborhood. But I'm just so truly grateful for the work that you do and for all the women that you help. And just thank you for just dedicating your career to this. It's truly amazing.
Oh, thank you so much, Megan. Blessings to you. Go
Thank
put
you
your
so
feet
much.
up. Okay. Get some
Thank
rest after
you.
this. Yes.
Thank
All right.
you.
You have a beautiful day.
You too. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.